Hey guys, so today we're going to talk a little bit about strategies and trying your best to avoid causing me a lot of pain and other people a lot of pain by having the foresight of understanding what it is, like the impact of the decisions that you are making. So let's get into it. Now, why am I being so dramatic? Well, if you must know, it has been a long, shitty day. And I'm at that moment right now where I just can't handle another person telling me that, no, Frederick, front-end development, it's all about the frameworks. You need to just know a little bit of React, a little bit of JavaScript, CSS, HTML, and you need to just know a little bit about maybe some jQuery and Bootstrap, and then you're set. Because today I have done the thing that I hate most in this world, and that is debugging Webpack builds. Yes, fuck. I'm not going to say that word, but I want to, because it is a real hassle, guys, to work with a really large code base where there's a ton of decisions that have been made, not informed decisions, but rather ad hoc decisions that kind of pile up into one big mess. You see, the beauty and kind of the selling point of JavaScript development and Node and like all of these kind of terms that you get used to when you work in front end was the simplicity of it all. But when you grow to a point where you have to, like, where the complexity has grown to a point where I can tell you right now, the complexity of the application structures of this particular product has grown to the point where we actually spend more time solving issues related to this thing that is going to make our life so much simpler, because every time you add a little bit extra on top, you create this cascading effect of issues. Let me explain. So if you have been using some type of test runner, let's say for the sake of argument that you're using Mocha. Great choice. It's a great test runner. Awesome way for running your unit tests. And you're coding away, and then some person comes along and says, you know what? It would be really nice if we could use ES6 features. And so they add that in. And all of a sudden, you're in the situation where now, in order to run your ES6 syntax inside of Mocha, which runs on Node, which does not support, for example, the import statement. So now you have a problem. All right. You kind of go, okay, we need to support this. So you know what? Let's add Babel, because Babel will solve that problem for us. We can use Babel and the ES 2015 preset to transpile our JavaScript, native JavaScript or common JS modules, and whether our imports into that syntax, and then Mocha can understand it because it's Node, and then Node understands common JS, right? Awesome. And this is where when people make this decision, I just want to hold them and I slap them over the face, and I want to be able to just scream at them and say, why the hell do you need this damn syntax? Why do you need to complicate your software in order to be able to write import instead of require? It just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, the same day that this is supported in all of the environments that you are using in your project, you can just migrate. It will take a day, tops, to do this. But now you've added Babel, which is another dependency. Okay, no problems, said and done. All right, so next step. Okay, cool. So now we want to use React, but we also want to test our React application. So we write unit tests in Mocha. But Mocha doesn't understand JSX. Node doesn't understand JSX, rather. So now we add another thing to Babel and we go, okay, this will be solvable. We will simply add the React preset to Babel in order to fix that. Easy. Cool. So you add that in. And a little further down the line, somebody says, you know what? Let's add TypeScript. Okay, so now you add TypeScript on top. I mean, TypeScript is a great thing. It's a really good thing for the project. But once again, Babel doesn't understand, like Node, or rather Mocha, doesn't understand TypeScript. So now you have to figure out, okay, can you get that to fit in Babel? Well, not as currently. Babel doesn't understand TypeScript. You need TypeScript for that. And then you find a nice project called TS Node. Cool, you can use TS Node. But then you realize that you can't actually pipe these together so that they work as a one uniform build pipe. You can't actually combine the two. You have to have some type of compilation step in order to make this work. Because TS Node, which is TypeScript running with Node, also doesn't understand ES6 syntax. Okay, so you hack together some solution for that, which is basically to compile your files first down to JavaScript, from TypeScript to JavaScript, and then you give it to Babel so that it can take care of the rest. Awesome. And then someone comes and says, you know what? Let's import some files. And you know, it's a real hassle to have to write all these relative URLs when we work with our builds. Can't we use Webpack aliases to make our lives a little bit easier? And you know, while we're at it, let's add some lazy loading on top of that as well, or dynamic imports, if you want to call it that. And now you have 3 different things in one single circulation. In other words, you need to find a way to make Node, Webpack, React or JSX, and TypeScript work together, to all be compatible. And to add a little bit of extra flavor to that, you also need to do that in a way that encourages more unit tests and people like this iteration speed that we are so fond of when we write test-driven development. And as the person who has to kind of figure this out, you do the only thing that you can really think of that makes any sense at that point, which is, all right, I suppose that we can create this this configuration file with Webpack, and maybe we can transpile all our code from these various environments. And of course, there's like a million different configurations that you need to know about, and you have to read up on all the plugins and have a good understanding of what each plugin does and configure it absolutely, just so that you can finally produce a bundle, which you of course have to load, where you load all your tests in, because that's the way to run all of the tests. You use some type of required context for Webpack, and you load in all of the test files, and then you produce a bundle, and then you can use that bundle to run your tests against. Guys, whoever told you that frontend is just about CSS, HTML, and JavaScript and some basic JavaScript, they lied. It's a damn lie. I can tell you right now, you spend more time with this sort of stuff that I just described to figure out how to kind of just work within the legacy and the problem space of a lot of other decisions that have been made before your time than you do basically anything else. At least when you get up to a point where they expect you to do more than simply just the UI. That's the thing that I hate most. To work within this clusterfuck of problems and figure out new ways of solving this problem while somehow still maintaining a decent working environment for the people that you work with. And take it from somebody who's been down this road many, 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 many times. Think about the dependencies you are making, or rather you're creating for yourself. Know what you are working on. Actually be informed on good decisions, good practices, and keep, like, have a direction, have a plan for this sort of stuff. You have to account for these sorts of things before you add them into your stack, because most of these problems that somebody else has to come and clean up later is due to a poor understanding of the different, in this case, the different environments that there is within JavaScript. And that's why you get to a point where nobody wants to touch your front-end code base, simply because you are making really poor decisions for the long haul of your project. They may be they may not make much of a difference, or they may not feel as big decisions at the time. They may be these small, trivial little things, but every time you add something to your stack, you're simply building up the odds of this sort of problem happening for you as well. So that's what I want you to take away from this, guys. There is no such thing as free dependencies or something that is just convenient, because the more stuff you add, the greater the odds are that it's going to come back and bite you. The fundamental truth that I've realized so far in my career when it comes to software is that the more shit you have, the more shit can go wrong. Have a great day.